Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. We'll chant Om once together. Synchronize the chanting of Om with your exhalation. Breathe in. Sahana bhavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Gently open your eyes. We'll chant from verses 11 to 15 of chapter 3. Devan bhavayatanena,
Devan bhavayatanena,
te deva bhavayantu vaha,
te deva bhavayantu vaha,
parasparam bhavayantaha,
parasparam bhavayantaha,
Shreyah paramavapsyatha,
Shreyah paramavapsyatha,
Ishtan bhogan hi vo devaha,
Ishtan bhogan hi vo devaha,
Dasyante yajna bhavitaha,
Dasyante yajna bhavitaha,
Taidattana pradayaibhyaha,
Taidattana pradayaibhyaha,
Yo bhungte stena eva saha,
Yo bhungte stena eva saha,
Yajna shishtashinah santaha,
Yajna shishtashinah santaha,
Muchyante sarva kilbishaihi,
Muchyante sarva kilbishaihi,
Bhunjate te tvagam papaha,
Bhunjate te tvagam papaha,
Ye pachantyatmakaranat,
Ye pachantyatmakaranat,
Annad bhavanti bhutani,
Annad bhavanti bhutani,
Parjanyadanna sambhavaha,
पर्जन्यादन्नसम्भवः
यज्ञाद्भवति पर्जन्यः
यज्ञाद्भवति पर्जन्यः
यज्ञः कर्मसमुद्भवः
यज्ञः कर्मसमुद्भवः
कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि
ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवम्
ब्रह्माक्षरसमुद्भवम्
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम्
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम्
Hari Om, and a very good day to all of you. So in the last few sessions, we have been able to penetrate a little bit into this principle of being a sant. We get the clue from the word sat. So we have penetrated to a certain extent, which itself is very deep. Many of you have put down your points saying that it's amazingly deep, and you're also inspired, which is very good, because that is the very aim of doing it. But I would like to mention one thing here. However deep we go, actually what is left is infinite times more. That is the beauty of this yogic approach, or I would say that's the beauty of these higher principles. See, when there is a finiteness about something, let's say you have 10 units to cover. Now you go deep and cover 8 units, then you've really gone into the depth, because only 2 are left. But with respect to the higher principles, there are no finite units. It is infinite in nature. So when something is infinite in nature, you just keep on going deep. And the more deep you go, you will find that there is more depth. That is what is very interesting. See, when you view these things superficially, you're just happy with some superficial explanation. A sant means one who is a saint, one who is a virtuous person. Now, when your analysis, when your understanding is so shallow, you don't penetrate at all, then you will feel that, I know everything, I have understood it. Whereas, when you start going into the depth of it, even a little bit, now you will start wondering whether you have understood it or not. And little more depth you go into, then you will clearly see that your understanding is very less. So then you try to understand it more by going into the depth further. That is the logical way. But the amazing thing is that the more deep you go, you will find that what is to be understood is going on increasing. When a sadhak starts experiencing that, it's a very advanced stage in sadhana, where you start experiencing that there is much more to know. This is not because of total ignorance, it is because you've gone into the depth. So when a sadhak starts experiencing that, it means he or she is really progressing in the spiritual path. See, this wisdom is like, for example, space. Now, when you don't explore, I'm talking of the outer space, when you don't explore the outer space, you're just sitting in you're sitting confined in a room. Now, you will think that, everything is like closed and there is a boundary. The moment you start going out, you will see the vastness, you will start seeing the vastness. Now, when you take the astronauts who go and explore the outer space, now what they say is something very interesting. They say the more they travel and when they look around, they almost get lost. I'm talking of with their vision. They say because it is an endless process. The more they explore it, the vastness of the space keeps on increasing. A person who is confined in his room feels that the world is this only. Whereas a person who has started exploring and who has gone into real depth in exploring, like an astronaut, will say that what I've explored is very less. There is so much more to explore. So externally when you view this, a person who is sitting, it's not that a person who is sitting in the room within four walls knows everything just because he feels that, now I think I know the boundary. Actually, it is because of ignorance. It is because of lack of exploration and depth that he is making that statement. When you start exploring the outer space, the vastness increases. When I say the vastness increases, the vastness remains the same, but you become aware of it more. That is a sign that you started really exploring. Similarly, when you have very superficial knowledge, it's like being confined within a room, You will say, I know everything. But when you start exploring into this wisdom, like how the astronauts explore the outer space, you will start getting a feeling that there is much more to know, as if the ignorance increases. It's not that the ignorance increases, it's always there, but you become fully aware of it. That is a sign of knowledge, actually. That's why the yogis say that the more your knowledge, the more you gain true knowledge, the more you become aware of your ignorance. Or rather, it is the reverse, The more aware you are of your ignorance, it means you have gained more knowledge, or you have gone deep into this knowledge. See, if you take the astronaut, the more they are able to see the vastness of the space, what does it mean? It means they have explored. So we can take three categories. One is a completely ignorant person, another person with limited knowledge, that is, who has not gone into the real depth, who has superficial knowledge, and a third person who is a sadhak, who has started gaining knowledge in a deep way, that is a wisdom. So a totally ignorant person will say, I don't know anything, which is understandable. But that is not a state of spiritual growth, because he factually does not know anything. Now, when a person gains limited knowledge in a superficial way, now he feels he has understood, he knows everything. Like there are many people who say, oh, I have read the Bhagavad Gita many times. If only they come for these sessions, then only they'll know. I have read the third chapter. I have understood the Bhagavad Gita. Now the next, not only Bhagavad Gita, I have read so many texts. It's a total superficial knowledge. So it is when your knowledge is superficial, when you feel that I know it all. Then from there you move to the third stage, which is a sadhak, who starts exploring the depth, exploring this wisdom in depth. Now what is amazing is, as the sadhak starts exploring in a deep way, he or she will start feeling that I don't know anything. What I know is very little. What is to be known is so vast. So externally, a totally ignorant person and a person who has gained a good amount of wisdom will be saying the same thing, I don't know. But there is a world of a difference. The first person who is totally ignorant is saying that because he has not started the journey at all. The sadhak, when he says, I don't know, it is an outcome of wisdom. This is natural humility. The ignorant person is not being humble. He genuinely does not know. Whereas a sadhak gains natural humility. Humility which arises out of knowing. Humility which arises out of knowledge, depth in knowledge. And that is why it is mentioned, Vidya dadati vinayam. Knowledge gives humility. Vidya vinaya sampanne. They have expressed it in many ways. So how is it that knowledge gives humility? True knowledge. This is the principle behind it. I am explaining to you in a simple and logical way. Actually, once you understand it, it looks simple. But when you don't understand it, it looks very complicated. So the more you know, here we are talking of in depth, the exploration of depth. The more you know, the more aware you become that you don't know, of what you don't know. And that is why Tamil Siddhar, he said, Katradu Kaiman Nalavu. Means what I have learnt is just like when you take mud in your hand, that much only. Whereas what I have to learn, ulagalavu, means it's a very huge. They say, no, known is a drop. What you know is just a drop. Unknown is the ocean. A sadhak actually experiences that in depth. And when he or she starts experiencing that, what will happen? A natural humility comes out. That is what I was explaining to you in the last session. The summary, the 3-4 points which I had given as to how do we view a sant. One of the things which was mentioned was humility, which comes naturally. Not artificially being humble. Some people, they artificially try to be humble externally. They just bow down in an artificial way. Actually, that is a sign of lack of humility. See, we can easily find out if you have a little bit of depth. From the body language itself, we can find out who is truly humble, who is not. Person who is very highly egoistic but wants to impress the master will act as if he is humble. So a master always goes by what is the energy pattern inside, not what is being exhibited. So we are not talking of mere expressions of humility. We are talking about that deep, deep energy pattern from which arises this thought that what is to be known is like an ocean. What I know is just a drop. And from that thought arises that emotion of humility, vinaya. So even in Shri Hanuman Dhyana, I told you, the 5 Anjaneyas, the 5 facets, Vidyanjaneya and Vinayanjaneya. Hanuman had both. It is because he had true wisdom that he was naturally humble. So this is true even in the worldly sense, If you take any field, any worldly field, let it be medicine or mathematics or even an art, whatever it is, you talk to a person who has really gained mastery in that subject. That person will have a natural humility. I remember when I was studying in school. I think it was high school, or I think in my 8th standard or 9th standard, or was it 10th, 11th, I'm not too sure about it, but there was a person who came to deliver a talk. He was invited. Now, he was coming from the illustrious Aladi family who were great thinkers. So, he was a person who had done research on the theory of relativity for his entire lifetime. At that time, they announced it as 45 years of full-time research. And he was introduced and all of us were in awe, all the students. What a great man has come to speak, and he is going to explain to us on the theory of relativity. And the way he started the talk was very interesting. He said, I am not sure what to tell you. How am I to talk for next 1 hour on relativity? Because I have really not understood the theory of relativity yet. So, what am I to tell you? This is how he started. Of course, after that, he gave such profound principles which were really deep. If the introduction about him had not been given, anybody would have said, oh, he doesn't know anything about relativity, why hear him? And they would have walked away. This is something, see, he didn't try to fake humility. He was genuinely saying that I have not yet understood the theory of relativity. A man who had spent 45 years, full-time research just on that. He's saying that. So when a person gets engrossed even in worldly knowledge or any worldly skill, that person will become naturally humble. You know, there was a martial artist whom I had met when I was in my, if I'm right, 5th standard. 5th standard means my age was around 10. He was from Kerala. And he had the ability to fight some 50 people or something like that. You know, there is many people at one go. He used to look very slim, and when you look at him, you will never think that he is a martial artist. Extremely soft spoken, because see, when you advance to such a high level, you lose all the violence and all, you know. Such people will never get into a fight. It is only when you have half-baked knowledge that you want to show it to everyone and all that. So I was asking him at that time, sir, what is the most powerful weapon? He said, these hands, the fingers. And I was very surprised, because I thought he's going to tell about a big knife or sword or something like that. He said, these raw hands. It's called Verum Kai Prayogam. That's the most dangerous thing in Varmakalai and Kalari. Varmakalai and Kalari are, the real martial arts. That's a mother of all the other martial arts sciences which later on developed. Varmakalai was given by certain saints like Bogar and all that, and Kalari was given by Parashurama. So they say Verum Kai Prayogam, that is just an empty hand, is the most dangerous thing. And what was interesting is, I observed this, whenever anybody used to ask him, sir, please teach us, he used to say, I don't know whether I can teach, but if you want, I can share whatever I have learnt from my guru. So naturally humble. He was a real master. In martial arts I'm talking of. I don't mean in spirituality, in martial arts. He had gone to a very, very high level. But very humble, which was a natural outcome of true knowledge. So Albert Einstein is supposed to have said, no, I was only a child who was playing with pebbles in the seashore of knowledge. When Newton was felicitated, he said, what is my knowledge compared to my ignorance? Why is he saying that? What is my knowledge compared to my ignorance? Because he has gone very deep. So he is able to see the ignorance clearly. So the more knowledgeable you become, we can say the more you know, the more actually you will not know. You will become aware of your ignorance. The more knowledgeable you become, the more aware you will become of your ignorance. And that is the sign of knowledge. After Vidya comes Vinaya. So a Sant, in the last session I had told you that he is one who is very humble. The four things which I told you, one who is established in the higher values, number one. And then one who is very grateful, extremely grateful for everything. He is grateful to existence. See, it's only a person who is grateful who can be happy and peaceful. To the extent you have gratitude in life, it's not gratitude not merely to people, to existence itself. To that extent your mind will become very peaceful. And then the third one was humility. So from where is this humility coming? It is from the depth of his knowledge or wisdom. So a Sant is one who is naturally humble because he has such a deep understanding of what life is. When you go to an ignorant, totally ignorant person and ask a question, that person will say, I don't know, because that person actually doesn't know. If you go to a person who has bookish knowledge and superficial knowledge and you ask a question, that person will load you with a lot of information. They'll get an ego boost that here is a person who doesn't know and I know it, let me explain it. If you go and ask a Sant, he will explain to you, but there will be depth in that explanation. There will be that originality. It will not be merely bookish. See, just to repeat the Bhagavad Gita, you can straight away read it, no? Why do you require someone to simply repeat and mirror the translation? It's not that. What is it that that person has absorbed and what is coming out of that person? That is more important. So a master is one who will be very suggestive. That suggestiveness is coming from humility, natural humility. So Vidya and Vinaya, they both go together. So a Sant is one who is very grateful and who is naturally humble. So when a person is very grateful, he becomes very peaceful. And when a person is naturally humble, there is a charm in that person. So you need to have a certain amount of depth to be able to know the difference between a totally ignorant person and a person who is truly having wisdom. See, the world gets impressed very fast with the second category, one who gains a lot of bookish knowledge and who's able to repeat and who's able to interpret and compare several commentaries and give this, give that. Immediately that person becomes famous and the world recognizes that as knowledge. This person is very knowledgeable. But a Sant who has gone into the depth may not be recognized by everyone. It is only a person who has a certain amount of depth can recognize a master. That is what is interesting. The author of Sherlock Holmes, Arthur Conan Doyle or something, I think, what he says is very interesting. Mediocrity can never recognize a genius. Talent instantly does, he says. It's the same principle. He has expressed this in his own way, When you're a mediocre person, you really cannot recognize a truly spiritual person, because you will become enamored, you will get so impressed with a rajasic person. The person who has superficial knowledge is rajasic. A rajasic person will show off. So that's what you will be impressed with. When you develop depth, then you will be able to recognize who is a true sant. And a true master does not look for recognition. See, real quality, when a person is focusing on quality, now the criticism and praises of people, that is recognition and all that, really means nothing to that person. Whether you accept or whether you don't accept, what difference is it going to make to a master? His focus is fully on the depth. He's so deep. But if a student is really able to see that and seeks, he can get the best out of a master. So that person is called a sant, who is naturally humble. I mentioned it last week, and I'm just giving you a few more. I'm adding more depth to whatever was told last time, so that this will inspire you. And not only that, the fourth thing is, he is devoted to God. That is, he experiences God in everything, in everyone, and that leads to the stage where he starts experiencing God within himself, and finally he merges with that God principle. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, as I mentioned it to you, it's mentioned that practice of devotion. If you see a human being, if you see an animal like a dog, or you see whatever it is that you see, immediately fall at the feet, because I am in that. I means that infinite God principle is there in that. So to practice it externally will be very difficult. So you can practice it mentally. Whenever you interact with others, if you have this in your background, that they are manifestations of God, your attitude will change. And that same God principle is there within you also. So when you deal with yourself, when you are all alone by yourself, now when you start seeing yourself as a manifestation of divinity, automatically whatever negative energy which you generate, whatever negative thoughts you may have, negative emotions, all those will start getting purified, because when you consider yourself as divine, as a manifestation of divinity, now the negativity cannot exist, no? So that will start the process of self-purification. So the way you deal with others will be so wonderful. The way you deal with yourself also will be so uplifting. This is true devotion. Devotion is not merely going to a place of worship and just closing the eyes just for that moment. That is only to develop this bhavana. If you don't use it properly, then it becomes a mechanical ritual, or just merely doing some other ritual mechanically. No. You have to see, these rituals were given so that you develop this bhavana. If you don't use those rituals to develop this bhavana, then that is definitely not a devotional practice. So the more you grow spiritually, the more devoted you will become to God, and you will start experiencing God outside you. You will start experiencing God inside you, and that will keep on increasing, that vision, that perception. When you face any situation, when something good happens, you will see the hand of God in that. When something negative happens, so-called negative, there also you will see the hand of God. This situation is happening in my life so that I can learn something, I can become more strong with it. Every experience will start teaching you something. That is the outcome of true devotion. So, when you start learning from every experience, what will happen? You will become a jnani, because you are learning, no? So, true devotion leads to jnana. First I said, when you gain true knowledge, when you go into the depth, you will become naturally humble. That is an aspect of devotion only. So, true knowledge gives rise to devotion, and true devotion gives rise to knowledge. So, bhakti yoga and jnana yoga, they go hand in hand. They complement each other. Some people ask, no, so should I practice bhakti yoga or should I practice jnana yoga? That question itself is very shallow. You don't need to practice anything, It means you don't want to practice anything. So in the Upanishads it said, jnana and bhakti, they are like two feathers of a bird. When they are balanced, the bird can fly. Similarly, when jnana and bhakti both are balanced, your consciousness will rise. You will become a sthita prajna. See, 100% sant is called a sthita prajna. So we can say a sant is a sthita prajna in making, or we can call a sthita prajna as an accomplished sant. Both are one and the same. Just two words we are using. When you are in the process, we say sant, but an established sant is called a sthita prajna. 100% established in that awareness, prajna, So if you want, you can use the word sant to mean a sthita prajna also. It means you are extending it right up to the 100% level. So, in a sant, the jnana aspect and the bhakti aspect, the devotion aspect, are well balanced. So, he keeps on flying into the greater heights of super consciousness. Knowledge without devotion will lead to ego. Devotion without knowledge will lead to superstition and blind faith. But when both are combined, that leads to spiritual evolution. So you should develop both these aspects within you. When we start off these sessions, first I say close your eyes and we'll chant Om once together. First the deep breathing, which is becoming meditative, getting into a state of being meditative. Only then you can absorb this energy. And then we chant Om and Om Sahana Vavatu, Sahanau Bhunaktu, that chanted So when all that, see what happens is you become very meditative, and then the verses are also chanted, and at the same time the devotion aspect also is kindled, which is very conducive to gain this wisdom. Your mind becomes very calm, your intellect becomes very sharp. This is how a yogic session has to be structured, where all these elements are awakened. Earlier, when we used to have these sessions live in the auditorium, we used to, after the whole session, before the meditation, we used to have devotional singing, bhajans. I know, even as I'm mentioning this, now I'm going to be flooded with emails saying that, sir, when are we going to start that, because many people have mentioned to me that that is one thing which we are missing so much, sir, those bhajans. To be very frank with you, even I am also missing that, because when we end it and then when we go deep, those bhajan sessions are not simply just singing. It was really energy based devotion, and then we used to get into meditation. But in the online format, we are unable to do that. Let's see in the future how do we balance it out. Probably we can see whether it's possible to have separate satsangs live for that, so that we are doing all this, and then those satsangs all put together will give maximum effect. We'll see that in the future. But no, don't start complaining and saying, sir, because that bhajans is not that is why I am not gaining the wisdom. See, the mind will immediately latch on to that. But whatever tools are available, we will make the best possible use of those tools and keep on growing spiritually. Whatever is good for you, that will be revealed to the master in his meditation, and he will be implementing that. So you don't need to worry. So something will come up in the future, a more deep and comprehensive sadhana structure. It is only when you are ready that it will happen. So, as far as you're concerned, you're a sant in making. And a sant is a sthita prajna in making. And a sthita prajna is an accomplished sant. So this word sant covers the whole path and the goal also. That is the beauty. A sant in making is a beginner. A sant who has gone into a person who has gone into a lot of depth, he is a sant, and a sthita prajna is an accomplished sant. So the beginning, middle and end is covered by this one word sant, and he says santaha, the virtuous people. So after that, what does he say? The virtuous people, what is it that they do? Who eat the remnants of sacrifice. So we can divide this into two parts after that. So first is sant, virtuous. The next is, what is it that they do? They eat the remnants of sacrifice. Yajna shishtashinaha. So when they do that, what happens to them? They are freed from all faults. Sarva kilbishaihi. So now we'll get to the second aspect, that is, who eat the remnants of sacrifice. How do the sons conduct themselves? What is it that they actually do with respect to yajna? How do they approach it? with respect to the principle of parasparam. What is parasparam? Parasparam is the principle of give and take. So the whole world is built on this principle of give and take only. It is impossible to have only giving or only taking. Then there will be an imbalance which is set. So, a sant is one who eats the remnants of sacrifice, whatever is left over, as it were. That is whatever they get. They are not directly seeking it, but whatever is given to them, they happily eat it. We'll go into the depth of it, but first of all, he is saying the santaha, the virtuous people, they eat. Eating is representative of taking in the principle of parasparam in life. So what does this fundamentally show, convey? Sattvic people also take. Saints also take. Spiritually advanced people also take. Why this is so important is, there is a total misconception. See, spirituality has been completely misunderstood. People think that a spiritually evolved person will only give. They believe that taking is selfishness. Now, this is a very good opportunity for you to learn spirituality in the right way. See, every week, whatever is being given to you, there are no gimmicks, no superficialities, no artificial marketing, this, that and all. It is real spiritual stuff. That is, spirituality in its pure form is being given to you. This may not be so entertaining. In any field you take, there are so many people who keep giving their views. But in every field, if you, among 100 people who are talking about it or who are teaching that, you will find hardly one person or two people who give that in genuine depth. You as a sadhak should always look for that. In these Sunday sessions, there is no compromise. Just to get more people, we are not going to compromise on the depth. What is the use of that? If some entertainment session and all that is kept, immediately lakhs and lakhs of people will start coming. But are they really going to understand the depth? Just to maintain them, we have to keep entertaining them. A true master will not do all that. A true master will just focus on the depth. And where there is honey, bees will come, real bees will come. So, this is what is true spirituality. That is, the giving and taking should be balanced. So, there is a tremendous misconception that taking is selfishness and giving is unselfishness. No. You may give, but if you have an ulterior motive, then that becomes a selfish action. If a person who is doing charity, but who does it in an egoistic way, he gets a feeling, I am doing charity. Would you call it unselfishness? Definitely no. That comes under selfishness only. So, the first point here, the sattvic people who eat. So, eating is symbolic of taking. So, the spiritually advanced people also take in life. So sacrifice, yajna means sacrifice. Sacrifice is not self-torture, is not a torturous practice. Yajna is very enjoyable because there is a perfect balance between giving and taking. Most people, they think if they torture themselves and if they suffer, then they are doing something spiritual. See, from where have these misconceptions come? That's quite amazing. Because spirituality has been misrepresented by false teachers. This has happened in every yuga, more so in Kali Yuga. What are the misconceptions? Some people think that, oh, if I acquire a lot of wealth, I am not spiritual. People who acquire a lot of wealth cannot be spiritual. So they equate spirituality to poverty. Why? Because they have misunderstood that word simplicity. Being simple doesn't mean being poor. Even a king can be simple. In those days, the great kings who were saints also, they were called Raja Rishis. Like we had King Janaka, who was a Raja Rishi. He was an enlightened person. Lord Krishna himself mentions about Lord Janaka. It will be coming in this chapter only, after a few verses. So then what did they mean by simple? A simple person without any ego, a straightforward, uprightness, arjavam. These are the qualities which define simplicity. Not externally having wealth or not having wealth. Person could be very wealthy yet be very simple and spiritual. A person may not have any wealth but may be very egoistic, unadjustable and unwilling to learn. So everything has been misunderstood today. The moment we talk of uprightness, there is a misunderstanding that it is being rude. Similarly, when they talk of sacrifice or selflessness, immediately people misunderstand it as only giving. Is it possible to sustain the act of only giving? Just think about it. In order to, for example, let's say you want to give food to others. It's a very nice thing, annadhanam. You want to do annadhanam. What is the first prerequisite? You should have food, no? In order to have food, extra food, you need to acquire money to procure extra food to be able to distribute it to others. So unless that taking is there, how can you give? Let's take the aspect of knowledge. A master keeps on giving knowledge. That's a foolish statement to make. If we say a master gives knowledge, that is correct. Master keeps on giving, only giving, some people say. How is it possible? He has to first take, which means he has to first acquire that wisdom, no, in order to give. You see, any aspect of life, if you want to give, you have to take. That is what is being emphasized here when he says the eating. These people, a spiritually advanced person also eats, means he takes. But then what is the difference between a sattvic person, a rajasic person, and a tamasic person? It is in that equation between the giving and taking. No? That is where the whole difference comes. That determines whether you are spiritual or non-spiritual. A tamasic person focuses only on taking. He tries to withhold the giving as much as possible, which is what we saw, Stenaha, the previous verse. So the equation between giving and taking is not okay. A Rajasic person gives and takes, but the emphasis is on taking. There also, there is an equation which is being built, but it is not so perfect. It is imperfect. A Sattvic person, he takes and he gives, but his accent is on giving. See, that is the second part of it. When he says, they eat the remnants of sacrifice. So, his focus is on offering, giving, and whatever the remaining part is, he just receives whatever is due to him. So, the equation between giving and taking becomes very balanced, becomes very spiritual, and that gives him a lot of peace and external success also. That is the beauty. So, in life, you have to take and you have to give, contribute. Now, let your accent be on contribution. Then to whatever extent you need to take in order to contribute, you will do. So, you will take to the extent you need to contribute. A Rajasic person is, he will contribute, see, his emphasis is on taking, no? So, he will contribute only to the extent where he gets. So, that is what we mean by accent is on taking, not on giving or contributing. A Tamasic person, of course, is in that extreme where he only wants to take, he does not want to contribute at all. So, that is why tamas leads to devolution, putrefaction. A Rajasic person is highly stressed because his accent is on taking. A Sattvic person becomes very peaceful. Why? Because his accent is on giving. That does not mean he does not take. So, this is something which you should understand properly. So, when you go to your master, he will ask you, what is it that you want? That is the first thing he will ask you. You say, I want God realization. That is the ultimate goal. But he will ask you to find out what is it that you want in life. Why? Because it's only when you fix goals in life and when you start fulfilling them, when you start taking a little bit in a spiritual way, in a sattvic way, then the next thing, he will not merely stop with that. He will say, as you begin to get things, now he will say, start giving, start contributing in life. Don't be satisfied with merely getting a few things. The moment you get satisfied and you use your the Yoga Sankirtan sadhana merely to acquire without any focus on contribution, you will slip into rajas and then you will further slip into tamas. You have to be careful. So, the master gives the healing, he fulfills the student's wishes, desires, so that the student, so that it becomes conducive for the student to grow and the student starts contributing to the society. Serving the world by serving oneself. It starts off by first self-development and it will end in serving the world, which is what is Karma Yoga. So, when you are attending these Sunday sessions, you are acquiring so much in terms of knowledge, in terms of devotion, in terms of the higher energy. So, then more responsibility should be there in you to contribute, to do your duties properly. Acquire whatever it is that you want, but let your focus be on contribution. What is it that you have to give to the world? Each one of you, you have unique talents. See, even in your family setup, receive love, but give more. Let your focus be on giving love. Receiving is an automatic process. If you don't receive love at all, then you will not be able to sustain the relationship. So, when your focus is on giving, the beauty is you will take whatever is required to support that act of giving, and the giving will increase your capacity to take more. For example, knowledge. When this wisdom is shared, the capacity to gain more wisdom automatically increases. So, the virtuous who eat the remnants of sacrifice. Such a brilliant way of putting it, Who, when he says, Yajna Shishtashinaha, means Yajnasya Shishtam Ashnantite. So, in life, if you want to master the principle of Yajna, you should start off, see, he has given a clue. Just start laying more accent on giving back, giving. We will see this in more depth in the next session also, but first you should understand this fundamental principle. So, when a student and master meets, the master's focus should be on giving maximum to the student. And the student will obviously absorb. But then the student's focus should be to serve the master. That is what is given. Not that the master requires. And how will you serve the master? By doing your sadhana, by contributing to the society. That is the best repayment. So then the giving and taking becomes very balanced. Just imagine a master whose focus is on giving, emphasis, a student also whose emphasis is on giving. When they both meet, the transference of energy will be tremendous. A master can easily give healing to such a student. When a sattvic student approaches a master, the transaction of wisdom and energy, the higher energy, becomes effortless. It's so smooth. So, for a Rajasic person, this giving and taking is like a business. That is, he is calculating. I did mention when we were doing that Agham, the Rajasic person is very calculative. How much have I taken? To that extent alone I will give, nothing extra. So, he will keep calculating at every step. Whereas, for a Sattvic person, this parasparam is not a question of mathematical calculation. Then what is it? He views it as exchange of energy. I want you to absorb this principle because this is the very principle of parasparam. True parasparam is when you start transacting in life, or when you start viewing all the transactions of life as exchange of energy. What do we mean by exchange of energy? In life, everything emits an energy. If these words are being spoken, there is an energy associated with it, and you absorb that energy. When you think something, an energy is created. When you feel something, that creates a certain kind of energy. When it is positive, that is, when the emotion is positive, it creates positive energy. When the emotion is negative, it creates negative energy. Everything in life, you know, whether it is your emotion or thought or your action or your speech, there is an energy associated with it. A Rajasic person doesn't have the subtlety to see that. I am not even getting into the Tamasic person, because there is neither energy nor action, nothing is there for a Tamasic person. So a Rajasic person keeps on calculating, whereas a Sattvic person, he just focuses on giving more, because that creates a lot of karmic surplus. You remember we had talked about karmic deficit and karmic surplus. See, all those things which were explained to you in the previous verse and in the last several sessions. Now all those things will help you to understand this in a more deep way. In every transaction of life, there is this exchange of energy going on. And when you're subtle, sattvic, and when you view it as exchange of energy, then that experience starts, it starts uplifting you. When you are living with your partner, not only partner, let's children, you have a family, let's say, it's a beautiful unit. You have your parents, you have your spouse, you have your children. There has to be a proper exchange of energy between each other. You need to give love and you need to receive love. Now I know what your question is going to be. I'm 100% sure somebody will ask this question. No problem, you ask, I will answer it later. You will say, sir, I am giving love, but my spouse is not giving back anything, so I am not able to receive. This is what you will say. See, there also again straight away the complaint will start. So let's deal with all those things later. But first you understand the principle properly. You have to give love and you have to receive love. When there is a transaction with respect to the intellect, you have to give knowledge and you have to receive knowledge. When there is a transaction of wealth, you have to give wealth and you have to receive wealth. How? In what spirit? All these are different expressions of Shakti, energy. So there is an exchange of energy. The exchange of energy at the intellectual level, it's in terms of ideas, thoughts, knowledge. The exchange of energy at the emotional level, it's in terms of emotions like love, peace. When it comes to wealth, the exchange of energy is in terms of give and take of wealth. When it comes to actions, it is in terms of give and take with respect to actions, what actions you do and what benefits you receive. And not only that, there is also an interrelation. When you gain knowledge, you may give back in terms of wealth. When you give wealth, you may get back in terms of love. See, the interchange is also possible. It is all nothing but exchange of energy. A sattvic person sees the play of Shakti or energy in these two transactions of giving and taking. Even when a student approaches the Guru, there has to be an exchange of energy. It should not be one-sided. It cannot, a one-sided transaction cannot sustain itself. So the Guru gives the wisdom. The student absorbs it and starts manifesting it in life. That is the giving part. The Guru gives love. The student also gives back love. See, even the very principle of Guru Dakshina, which has been mentioned in scriptures, it is only based on the principle of energy, exchange of energy. See, a true Guru, what does he really want? He doesn't want anything in return, because his focus is only on giving. Whatever he needs to get, the infinite will keep supplying him. So does he really require anything? Yet why have they mentioned Guru Dakshina? From the student's point of view, it is only to facilitate the exchange of energy, because when a student receives the energy, the higher energy, the higher wisdom, everything which the Guru is giving in such a selfless way, now that helps the student to burn up all the karmas. But he is able to remove all the karmic deficit. But one karmic deficit is created. That is this act of taking, receiving. Now how to remove that karmic deficit? For that they brought in this principle of Guru Dakshina, the exchange of energy. So it has to be done with the right bhavana, otherwise there is no use. And from the Guru's side, he has to give the wisdom in a selfless way, without any expectations. That is when he will also, that is when he is a true Guru. So when a perfect Guru and a perfect student, they meet, there will be a perfect exchange of energy. If there is a hesitation, a block from the Guru's point of view to give the wisdom, that means it's selfishness, no? If there is a hesitation from the student's point of view in terms of giving back or service, that is also selfishness. Then the transaction, the exchange of energy will not be great. So I am giving you various examples. So if you take a husband and wife, the exchange of energy has to be there. If you take a Guru and a student, the exchange of energy has to be there. If you take an employee and the employer, there has to be an exchange of energy. The employee should work with a lot of bhavana for the employer, and the employer should take care of the employee properly. Then that exchange of energy will ensure that both the parties will benefit. That is yajna. So I want you to think about it, this principle of exchange of energy. You think about it and come back next week. We will go into more depth regarding this who eat the remnants of sacrifice. A few more things I'll mention to you. Very, very deep principles. See, we can't cover everything at one go. Giving some time for you to reflect and come back. So look at your life as exchange of energy. This is your homework. The homework which I am giving you this week. See, here also I am giving you the homework. Now, only if you do the homework, the exchange of energy will happen even in this. Nobody is there to check. That's what you may think. You may fool everybody else, but you cannot fool the law of karma. Within the closed walls, whatever your bhavana is, whatever you're truly contributing, you will get in proportion to that only. So if you want spiritual growth, there's nothing to impress, to anyone. There's nothing to impress anyone. You just have to build this right bhavana. So I want you to observe, look at your family, and your day-to-day activities in terms of exchange of energy. Number one, not in terms of mere business. That is, it shouldn't be calculated. See, even when you are receiving, let us say you're receiving wealth for something which you're doing. Let's say it's in your office, or whether it's at home, or anywhere. You may, for example, you may be teaching in a school. Many teachers are attending Sunday sessions because they keep sending mails. So you're teaching the students, for which you're no doubt paid. But if you're just going to calculate and do it, that is of no use. So one is, see the exchange of energy, see this as an exchange of energy. Don't have any hesitation to take. But now practice this, focus, or let your emphasis be on giving. Just practice this for 1 week. 2 things I have given you. To see everything as an exchange of energy, number 1. Number 2, to practice emphasizing on your giving aspect. The taking will be automatic. Anyway you are taking. Don't shy away from taking. I am only saying emphasis should be on giving. If it goes to that extreme, then you will not be able to maintain it. You will lose your peace of mind. It is not a self-torturous practice. It is so enjoyable. Giving is so enjoyable if it is balanced with taking. And taking also is so enjoyable when it is balanced with giving. A sattvic person achieves that. Okay, so you do this homework and come back next week. We will go into more depth, and after that the Guru Purnima is also coming. We are having it the subsequent Sunday, that is, I think on 13th. Now actual Guru Purnima is following a few days before that. But actually it's not just for 1 day. The Guru Purnima is for at least minimum, that energy extends for a full month. Where the Guru Loka or the Siddha Loka, the doors of the Guru Loka or Siddha Loka are open, and one can receive the grace from the Guru Shakti if one gets attuned to it. So you may have the doubt, 3 days before itself Guru Purnima is coming, 3 days later only we are doing the sadhana. Actually, once you move to a very advanced level, every moment can become your Guru Purnima. You see, it's a connection which you make. Guru Purnima is a time totally for that whole month, which is conducive to get connected to the Guru Shakti. Conduciveness. That doesn't mean rest of the time or you're disconnected. It's not like that. So on that day, we are going to have this special yogic sadhana, very powerful. We are going to invoke the Guru Shakti, which is already going to be so prominent, and we'll get connected. And when you get connected to that Guru Shakti in the right way, the blessings which you will receive will be infinite in nature. We can't quantify that. Will I get more wealth, sir? You will get much more than wealth. See, the problem is if I ask you to choose, you will choose small, small things. Sir, I want 25 lakhs, I want 1 crore, I want 25 crores. Then the benefits, what you will get is infinite times more. This is also included. No doubt, you write your goals and come, that is very important. But also have this thought in mind, you're just getting connected to the Guru Shakti. There is a joy in that, And we are going to do the yogic sadhana of Guru Purnima, the yogic way. Okay, so now we'll do the Nididhyasana meditation. In the last few weeks itself, I've been preparing you for the Guru Purnima sadhana only. So today also, the preparation will continue. Next week, I'll prepare you further, and then will be the blast, energy blast. Okay? So gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. With every breath, I am becoming more and more relaxed. Feel the divine vibrations. With every breath, I'm going deeper and deeper into myself. Beyond the body, beyond the mind, beyond the intellect, lies my real self. My higher self is infinite and divine. From this moment onwards, I choose to emphasize on my contributions, giving, every transaction in life is nothing but an exchange of energy. I am Swayam Prakashit, self-illuminating. Offer your gratitude to God Supreme. offer your gratitude to your Guru and all the holy masters. Wriggle your fingers, your toes, open and close your palms a few times. Rub your palms together to create a warmth. And cup your eyes with your palms. Gently rub your eyes, your cheeks, forehead, the top of your head, the back of your head, your neck, and slowly open your eyes. Welcome back. So we had a very powerful session today. See, we are slowly getting into the depth of the principle of yajna, because that is the fulcrum on which the whole world or your entire life is balanced. The coming verses, Krishna will be directly mentioning that. If you want to master Karma Yoga, you need to master this principle of yajna. So think about the principles which were given to you. And I have also given you a couple of homeworks. They're related only. One is to see all the transactions of your life as exchange of energy. See, when you see it as material transactions, then that binds you to the world. When you see it as exchange of energy, it pushes you to the next higher level. And just start practicing this laying emphasis on your contributions, whatever you can give in life. Practice that to the extent you can. And when you come back next week, more healing is given, more wisdom is given. That sattva element in you will go on increasing. That's the whole idea. Okay. So thank you very much. I'll see you in the next session. Hari Om.